Oh, look. There he is. It's Tom.
Hello.
What's his name?
Tom.
It's the Tom Toms. Get it? Right, we're here to discuss and share with you a few tips and a few bits of, I guess, inspiration. Number one is don't hang around with dickheads. Which one's a dickhead?
It's got to be me, isn't it?
There you go. So if I put my hand there, we've removed the dickhead already. But no, in all seriousness, this is a little video, a little bit Facebook Live, give you a bit of inspiration. These two guys, Tom and Tom, so Tom Mills and Tom Marsh, both tagged in. Reach out to both of them if you haven't done. Connect to them. Both super, super smart guys. Both pretty young in age, but very smart in mind. So what we want to talk about is 2 points, really. Why should you not hang around with dickheads? Because I believe they don't add any value. Quite often they subtract, put negativity into your brain. That doesn't mean to say we shouldn't hang around with our friends, because some of my friends are dickheads, okay? But that means that they are what they want to be in life. Doesn't mean I have to be a dickhead with them, no? Okay, they may disagree with that and they may say that I'm the idiot because I'm driven, focused and I'm very ambitious. They may think I'm an idiot because I worked pretty smart and hard, but I'm not the one who does a 9-to-5 job anymore. Okay, so hang around with the people that are better than you, hang around with the best, and you too can become the best. I'm hanging around with these two guys because they're super smart. They have a lot more, youth, if you like, and energy than I do today. So these guys, in my view, are the best, and that's why I'm hanging around with them. So I just want to ask you, you were just saying to us before I put the Facebook Live on, which inspired me to put the words dickhead in there in particular. Not because genuinely he's not a dickhead, maybe he is, but
Thanks.
that's okay. But you were talking about how enjoyable, how inspiring it is, how good it is to hang around with people in this little dimension that are able to hold smart conversations, add value to each other. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, so I'll flip it on the other way around, but negative people, it's like the crabs in the bucket, so they all try and pull you back in and bring you back down to their level. Whereas with positive people, when people are out there doing great things that you want to do, it's lifting you back up so you can get out of that bucket and move on to chase your dreams and do whatever you want to do.
So I love that little saying then, those dickheads, those negative people are the little crabs pulling you back down to their world when you're trying to climb, whether you're trying to get your head up into the clouds, you're trying to get to your dream, to your position. Yourself, tell us, you said, you at one point in over the Christmas period, you were starting to question whether you should even move geography from where you are.
So basically, a bit like Tom mentioned about crabs in the bucket, we, all as entrepreneurs, we strive to do better and better ourselves each year, do better things, provide services to more people. And I think the more you improve yourself, but the people around you, the surroundings, aren't necessarily improving, then it kind of causes a bit of a difference, there's friction, and whether it's envy from people who wish they were doing the things that we were, but not necessarily got around the right people or taken the calculated risks. But I think the easiest thing for them to do is because they don't actually understand what we're doing, the reasons why and what drives us. The easiest thing to do for them is kind of go on the offensive and maybe, I don't know, take the mick a little bit, have a laugh, say, why are you doing this? You think you're better than everyone else? You're never going to achieve this, you're never going to do that. And it's just massively, the big driving force for me is, from 17, I've tried to always get around people, like you say, that aren't dickheads and that they're achieving where I want to be and can help me get there. Because you spend time with the right people, you learn new things, such as when we were on the skis trip. It's just amazing the networks you can build, and you realise that everyone in that circle has done the same thing. Everyone has mentioned about the crabs in the buckets, or you still can be friends with the older people, but they all drift to newer people, and you attract like-minded people, and this is how further relations and business gets done further down the line. But it's the most important fact, I think, today. It's a massive one.
So just picking up on that, recapping for you just quickly, you don't need to move your geography to move away from dickheads. You just need to understand who it is, the like-minded people. You need to surround yourself with the positivity. But also, you know, if you're in a group, that group could just be meeting once a week, once a month. It can be meeting via, you know, these type of Facebooks. You know, you could just be tipping information in from Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives, etc. You know, you can build your own network, if you like, of influence around you. So when we were talking about that from where you live, I'll never say that, you know, some people say sack your family, sack your friends. What they're meaning by that is sack the negativity.
Yeah.
I talk about dream killers regularly, you know, remove yourself from that. Now, I spent some time over Christmas with my family, and my family, I love them to bits. But what I heard was maybe different to what they heard. What I heard, though, was some negativity. I don't like it. So I listened, I sat around, you know, if you like, it zapped me for long enough. I then went skiing. And people were saying to me, you know, you do this all the time. Well, actually, it was 12 days in January. And on those trips, I hung around with amazing, super people. And it really inspired me. I was super, I was as excited and probably more excited than the people that were on those trips. So I think you can change your environment. You don't have to move your geography permanently, but you can change your circle of influence. You can change the people you connect with, to talk to about this type of thing. But you can still go to the pub. We went to the pub and played table football after a few beers. We've probably been dickheads at that moment.
Of course.
You know, in terms of what I mean by that, it's just living our life at a different level of relaxation and pace.
I think you don't necessarily need to take what people say to at face value either. You can dictate what they mean by that, and then you can decide how you react.
A lot of it will be protecting themselves as well, won't
Yeah.
it? So people don't like losing out, and they want to kind of hold you back in order to keep themselves feeling warm and fluffy inside. Because if you're going out there, that makes them feel bad. So they're kind of living that through you. So
Like mentioning on that as well, the same with some family members and things like that. They necessarily don't understand this world, say in a corporate job and things like that. And they don't mean to, but some of them might just try to protect you short term, and by trying to cuddle you and say no, get you a safe job, go to school, get you a good education, get a nice pension, that's just massively killing the potential where you could perhaps go. Which I found with, say, my grandma, necessarily she didn't understand what I was doing or things like that. And then eventually she came round, but it was up to, if I listened to my grandma, close friends and family, I'd have stayed in the job. I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have gone skiing, I wouldn't be building the business I am today. But you can look back and say 5 years time, the people who were the naysayers will come back and say, how do you do that? Can you teach me how to do that?
flips, yeah.
And you also got, you know, to defend your grandma in that respect of, I'm only using that word of defend, you know, they come from a very, very different world and a very, very different generation.
Yeah, of course.
And that generation were in jobs for life, they were in careers. Ours are what? Less than probably a year, 2 years, 5 years. There's no job security out there today. People will tell you there is. It's as long as a contract or a notice period in your business. On that note, let's just go into corporate life just very quickly. I know you only did a few months in it. I know you did a year or two, a couple of years in it. I spent a few years around it, if you like, and a couple of years in it. So what I just want to touch on in that respect of things is the bit that you were alluding to of those crabs in the corporate world. They want to hold you back because there is a ladder to climb and there's only so many jobs up that ladder. So rather than employing people that are better than them to make them rich, they want to employ people that are not as good as them so they don't steal their jobs. Do you want to share a bit about that and any experience you've had from the world that you're in, and even if you want to tell us about how politicised it got maybe in the end?
Absolutely. So I've got two backgrounds really. The more corporate side was I worked for Xerox for a couple of years in sales, and it's massively that because it's such a performance driven world, you've always got people only looking out for themselves, so they'll be very negative just to help them, so holding you back, making sure you're worse than them so that they can have that one space. Whereas if you're in the entrepreneurial world, there's unlimited potential really, so people want to help each other, you can all work with each other, and I think that's the big difference there.
So I kind of had two different experiences. So during university I was on a placement year, and that was in the public sector with the council, and that was very, for myself, I'm quite a go out there, get the job done. And the first struggle I had was my manager at the time, because I was outperforming everyone in my team, and we were getting big rental increases for various properties, and because he was just a tyre kicker, didn't want to do anything, he wanted to go to work, not do much, go home, that was his life. And questions actually started getting asked as to why all of these rental increases all of a sudden. I think I took around $100,000 increase for the full portfolio that I dealt with over the year, which were massive compared to any of the students that came in. And that caused friction there with us because it made him look bad. And obviously questions were getting asked of him, and it kind of disrupted the apple cart, and there were more eyes on him then to say, why is this suddenly happening? And so that caused a lot of friction there, so I struggled with that. And then obviously that's the public sector side, so that's more slow pace, and if you come in quite a go-getter, it disrupts it completely and people don't like it, which I found. And then I moved into the private sector with Carter Jonas, and again, like you say, it's very cutthroat. People are out for themselves. There's nothing really productive being mentioned. Everyone just seems to be moaning or whining about something. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Nothing really gets done. Everyone just gets their head down. I hated it. It's not a productive environment.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very, very toxic. And I think the higher you climb up and the longer hours you work, I think people have got that perception about themselves that they're a bit of something, and then look down on people. It's not trying to pull people, it's not trying to help people. It's just, you're there for the job, do this, do what I tell you to do, and go home, which I hated.
So just picking up on both of those points, it's a long time back, mid-90s, that I was in a bigger corporate, and I'll draw on, but my language, it was in the fashion world, it was in Debenhams, if you can even call Debenhams a fashion store, but it was much more fashionable. Designers at Debenhams, Jasper Conran, things like that, they were doing a lot of firsts, so they were growing heavily at that point. But the world was full of what I described as people with pickaxes, mostly female in that industry, so I metaphorically took their stilettos off and used them as pickaxes. And what they did is they would stick their axes in the back of somebody very freely and very easily to climb the ladder. They would do anything. They might even sleep their way to the top. You might find that very unpolitically correct to talk about it today, but I saw everything going on. It didn't upset me. It just, like you guys said, it just compounded my belief that it wasn't a world that I wanted to work in. And I think the summary, if you like, of what I heard you guys say was that in our world, 1 and 1 will equal 11. We get together, and now let's say there's 3 ones, 1, 1, 1. That's 111. We can achieve because we come together. The power is collective. The power isn't about competitiveness other than we're all driven, but actually we can collaborate to make things happen in a much better and a much more compounding way, okay? Whereas in the corporate world, the job and the business, if you look at what a corporate business generally grows at, is about 3-5%. The city, if you're a PLC, the city doesn't want to see the share price going up and down too much. It doesn't want to see spikes in their income. Doesn't want to see too much. They want to see things steady and consistent. So do we, but we want to see it taking off more like a hockey stick. Okay, we want to see things growing faster. We find can-do ways of solving problems. They find ways to restrict to. So, reason why. Last question. Just 1 minute each. Really on this word of hanging around with better people. Okay, hanging around with the best to become the best. You are the sum of the 5 people, if you like, you hang around with. That is, again, not to say you stop hanging around with your family, but you might ration the amount of time with your family. You might ration the amount of time you spend watching the news or EastEnders, the things that pump negativity out there. So if you can give the audience, yourself, myself and Tom, one, if you like, little tip, one piece of advice. It might be one thing that you've done. It might be the skiing thing. It might be, just, making that decision to change, to do something different. What is that one thing that you would put out there that somebody else watching this right now could think, do you know what, he's done it, it's good enough for him to do it, I'll do it?
I'll summarise. I've got a few little points, but they all merge into one. So the big thing is realise your current position where you are and think, where do I actually want to be? That then allows you to focus and then realise, right, to get from here to here, there's a void in the middle, which is knowledge. How can I get that knowledge? So each day I try and go to bed and learn something new. So say if it's about a particular investment strategy or health, the gym, anything, learn a little something new before bed each day and let that compound. But it's going out and finding the people where you want to be, making the relationships to bridge the gap. So say for example, if you want to get into service accommodation, for example, you've read little bits about it, but you've not actually done it yourself. Reach out to people who are doing it in the area. Go for a coffee. Build a bridge. How can I help? How can I do this? And they'll then also monkey branch into more strategies. But for me, the big thing is take action. Realise where you want to be. Learn each day. Make new connections and just add value to people's lives. And that's what I've done for the past 5 years. And it started out with the funny story is the first guy that I ever had to went for a coffee with was the first guy that I sold the BRR to. And you don't realise that how powerful connections are. And connections open up other doors, and those doors open, and that just compounds massively. You turn to action each day, meet, and eventually you'll get to the right people. Then when you connect with the right people, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it's similar to Tom really. I mean, the biggest thing for me is focus. I think I would probably start off by thinking, next week I could die, and that is the big thing. You could get hit by a bus. So I think I'd sit down and really think about, well, what do I want to do if this was my last week? Where would I want to go? And obviously you do have to think of it long term as well, but you need to combine those together. Once you've got that plan, it's then the focus to get there. And the easiest and quickest way is probably to go and find someone that's done it before and just get their knowledge, and make sure it is someone that's done it before, because there's a lot of people out there that say they have or have done a little bit of it. But yeah, if you find those people, work hard on it, get out there, get out your comfort zone, eat that frog, as they say, and you'll get there quickly as well. It really does not take long. I know you've had Paul Wilkinson, who was out of his job in 6 months. I was out of my job in 6 months. Tom, you've done amazing things. Don't think you even had a job for 6 months, did you?
No, I lasted 2 months.
So yeah, just get out there and do it, really.
So I compound everything these guys have just said. So you've probably heard me this morning. I agree. Go check, go vet, find that person who can mentor you, find that person who can add value to you. But go and make sure they have actually achieved what they're saying they've achieved. It isn't a scratch card. It's not overnight. So like Tom just said there, you do need to dream. You do need to have a vision. You do need to know where you want to be in 5 years' time. But of course, you need to live today and you need to live tomorrow, because you could be knocked over by a bus. If that is the case, what can you do? Go back to your little and often, as you were just sort of saying there, learn something new every day. If you learn that new today, then at least if you were knocked over yesterday, tomorrow even, if you were dying tomorrow, you would have achieved the things you've not regretted, again, what you are doing. So, I've got friends who live literally from pay packet to pay packet. And, they are living their life like they're going to die tomorrow. And you've got to commend them in one way for that. But on the other hand, what happens when they hit 50, 60, 70, when they can't work anymore, they're tired. So, just say your age.
24.
22.
22 and 24, 47. If I knew half of what these guys know already, I say it, these guys are dangerous. These guys are going to achieve astronomical things. It's great for me. I get to play a small part in that. They will help me get to my goals. I will absolutely help these guys achieve their goals. All you need to do is create that little environment, like the guys said, and not hang around with dickheads. Have fun. Luck on, Tommy. All right. See you all soon.